If it's your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. We are going to get into some reactive dog training today. There are a lot of different types of reactivity, a lot of different reasons for reactivity. What you're going to see in this video is a young golden doodle named Kobe. We're going to see a beagle named Clarence, and we're going to see a Sheltie named Murphy. Kobe, the main focus of this video, is a young golden doodle. He's a puppy and he's conflicted. He's got a lot of static going on upstairs. He's social, he's silly, he's playful, but he's insecure. And so you'll see in the video moments where he bounces in, bounces out, bounces in, bounces out. And he wants to, but it's a little uncomfortable. And I'm giving his owner some strategies on how to deal with that. And you'll see when she follows direction, the dog is willing to dip his toe into the waters. And then you're gonna see Clarence the Beagle. Clarence the Beagle had an awful start to life. Clarence first started life as a dog living in a test lab. Okay, this is a very ugly truth. The dog basically lived in a cage for the first couple of years of her life, and so she's damaged. Okay, it's inconceivable to me that the dog not be damaged. She's very sweet and social with people and wants nothing to do with dogs. Now, the owners contacted me, the owners of Clarence who adopted this dog, contacted me because walking her was unmanageable. She could not be within 100 feet of another dog. She would not just bark, she'd be screaming and carrying on, and it was very stressful for her and for her owners. And in this video, what you're gonna see is she can totally be around Kobe as long as we have some terms and some understandings. Everyone stays in their lane, and she's great at being neutral, and neutral is the best that we can ask for with a dog like this. So Kobe is a dog that we can encourage and kind of lubricate and facilitate some social interaction, but also help him remain calm. So we're building confidence and we're building focus. And with Clarence, we're simply just trying to show her that there's an easier way to survive. You don't have to sound the alarms. You don't have to go to war. And then with Murphy, the Sheltie that you'll see in the beginning, Murphy is a little bit curious, but really he just wants to be left to his own. And so we have to know what is the right recipe for this particular dog. Anyone who tells you there is the way, my way, the only way, is a very limited dog trainer, or someone who really doesn't understand dog training as a whole. Because if I say to you, I'm a a carpenter, and let's pretend this pencil is a tool, and I've got a screwdriver, and so I'm going to repair your house the screwdriver way. That means that you're going to come across something that you're not equipped to deal with. So when we talk about dog training and the way, it means that the person only has one recipe and the dog better fit your recipe. We should have multiple recipes, multiple tools, and know which is the appropriate one for this dog or this dog in this context, because it could change from minute to minute to minute. No one walks around going, I dress the t-shirt way, because if it's minus 10 degrees outside, your t-shirt way means you're staying inside today. If I've got a nice puffer jacket and some good boots and gloves and a hat, I can go outside and enjoy myself. So the t-shirt way is just as limited. So in dog training, let's not be limited. Let's have a bunch of tools and a bunch of approaches and a broad understanding and a broad palette to choose from. So let's go into this video. And what I'll do is I'll probably pause it every so often and interject so that I can explain different context and scenario to give some background to what we're doing.
That's excellent. Keep going, Anne. Alors, aucune réaction de sa part maintenant, puis là, il suivait Anne tout le long. Voilà. Excellent. OK. Là, c'est plus facile ici parce qu'il n'y a pas de gazon, puis il ne veut pas utiliser son nez autant. Alors, it's a smarter thing for him today. Good, Anne. That was excellent. OK, venez vers moi maintenant. Continue. Good. What you can't see.
So in this clip, we see Anne with Kobe, and it's our first lesson working on heel. So we're just building some engagement, we're building some focus, we're starting to teach the dog what we want from him. And I've got Murphy out with me, and Murphy is a dog that stayed in kennel for training. Murphy would lose his mind in the presence of other dogs. He's deathly afraid of other dogs. And he has learned to remain calm, and he's discovering this social side to him with certain dogs, not with all, but with certain dogs. He's learning that dogs can be nice to be around. So you'll see that I'm giving them a lot of breathing space with Murphy. I don't want to get into Kobe's bubble. I don't want to push his buttons. And then at one point I'm talking with Anne and I say, you know what? Just come forward with your dog, release your dog. And you'll see Kobe wants to come forward, but then he lets out a bark and backs up. And what he's saying to him is, don't test me because I will defend myself. And he won't, but he's trying to bluff his way through because he's looking to survive the day. And then Anne makes the classic mistake that every dog owner makes. I'm not picking on Anne. She's new to dog training and she's learning, right? She's learning on the job. And she goes to comfort the dog. It's okay, buddy. And the dog is circling behind her. So what she's really doing is shining a spotlight on a fearful reaction. And now I'm going to coach her on don't do that and let's do this instead. And that is a game changer for a lot of dogs.
Okay.
So you see, he's social, but he's scared.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, mon homme. Okay.
On, parle pas. No. You're trying to tell him everything's okay. You're just making him more nervous. If you want to show him that everything's okay, you pet this dog.
So now I've got Anne petting Murphy. And you can see when she does that, it elicits a response from Kobe. Now Anne is signaling to her dog that she's comfortable with this. That is a form of leadership. That is a form of feeding information to the dog of I'm good with what is around us. That's so important to do for our dogs rather than trying to talk to our dogs, tell them everything's going to be okay, and now the dog just falls deeper and deeper into the hole. It doesn't radically change his behavior here, but if we had an opportunity to do this over and over again, the dog is going to start to want to go forward and investigate. So here we are at another lesson. Now we've got Kobe and Anne working together, and I've got Clarence, the beagle, with me that I was talking about in my intro. Kobe at this point has made great strides. I think this is maybe his second or third lesson. And Clarence has been in training now for, I'm gonna say, about 2 weeks. Okay, she's in for a 3-week program. And both dogs are really doing well around one another now, and they understand this concept of we don't have to have big reactions. We can just all stay in our lane. It's like when I go into a coffee shop to get a coffee, and I use this example often with clients, where I'm standing in line and there's someone in front of me, there's someone behind me. Typically people are looking at their phones if they're by themselves. If they're not engaged in conversation, most people are flipping through their phone. And we're all around each other, but we each have our own space and we're all comfortable with what's going on around us. That is a form of socialization. That is a form of just fitting into the world and not being stressed by what goes on around us. And that is exactly what we're seeing here in the video. So Clarence is walking around and sniffing and doing the typical dog stuff of let me just gather info and I'm curious. And Kobe is on his place, and one thing that's really significant, Kobe's got his back turned to Clarence. Okay, that's a sign of confidence. That level of indifference of, yeah, I know you're there, I know you're behind me, and I don't feel that I have to be so vigilant to hyperfixate and focus on you, that's really, really telling. I always tell my clients, and I repeat myself in these videos too, read your dog, listen to your dog, watch the dog's body language, and read into that. And read into it with a scientific approach. Don't read into it with a humanizing approach. Don't anthropomorphize the dog, and don't add emotion that isn't there. Really look at what is the data presenting. No animal that is tied to survival that says this thing in front of me is trying to kill me, no animal will willingly turn their back on it. So the fact that Kobe has his back turned to Clarence suggests an emotional state in Kobe that is really positive. Now we're going to release Kobe from place, and Anne is going to come forward and pet Clarence. And Clarence, like I said, loves people. So Clarence is very receptive to the petting, and Clarence is even suggesting that She's okay with Kobe being around. She doesn't really want to interact too much, but she's not freaked out by him being around, which is huge for Clarence. So Anne's petting Clarence, and you can see Kobe doing this dip in, dip out, dip in, dip out. It's like someone who puts their toe in the water and the water's a little too cold and they pull it back. But you see they want to go into the pool. So they do it again and out. And then eventually they grab a handful of water and they put it over themselves. And they are trying to acclimate their body to the stress of the cold water. But they're trying to go in easier versus some people just dive right in. They don't care what the temperature is. Some dogs are social like that. They will just dive right in. Kobe is not that dog. So we have to know, again, we go back to what is the recipe for this particular dog. Now, if we were to try this same thing for Clarence, in other words, I'm going to suggest to the dog that the dog in front of you is okay, and I'm going to pet Kobe and suggest to Clarence that, yeah, you should get in on this too. Clarence is going to look at me all day long like, yeah, you want to pet him, you go pet him. I'm good over here. The best we can hope for with Clarence is be neutral. Don't flip out. You're not really required to be proactive for survival. Just give us some basic stuff and we'll be okay. And so with Kobe, it's one recipe. With Clarence, it's another. And you have to know what you're doing with this kind of stuff. So let's take a look at Kobe and Anne here with their interactions, because this is just wonderful stuff.
Do you see her body language? She's saying, I don't want. So then we just, yeah. Okay, now that he's charged up, let's put him back on his place. So when I'm telling you you're going in the right direction is what I'm talking about. Look now, he was all dancy, and then you tell him this, and he's able to switch gears. So you're getting there, you're just not at that last step yet, but you're well on your way. Okay, let's let him off. Okay, put him in an au pied, and just walk your dog, just walk him all around. Okay, we're gonna follow you guys.
So in dog training, when we talk about distractions, distractions come in different flavors. Let's break them up into two general categories: happy distractions and scary or survival-based distractions. So happy distractions are, I want to catch the squirrel, I want to get the ball, I want the food on the counter or the table. It's anything the dog wants. Scary distractions are the opposite. They are things the dog wants to avoid. So now Kobe, we have kind of flipped the script on him, where he wanted to avoid dogs, and now with Clarence at least, he wants to interact. And now if we want to be able to rely on our training, if we want our dog's training to have some durability, in other words, it will function even in the face of these challenges, we have to be able to activate that on-off switch in our dogs that we talk about all the time. So our on-off switch should work like this. When I press the button, the light should turn on or off. If there's a lag, or even worse, if it doesn't work at all, my switch is broken, the battery needs changing, there's a breakdown in the system somewhere. When people say, my dog knows heel, my dog knows leave it, my dog knows place, but, there's always that but. He won't do it if, she can't do it when, then it's not built up to the level of durability. We haven't proofed the training past the point of distraction, whatever the case may be for your individual needs. So now Kobe is excited and he wants to play with Clarence. And I say to Anne, okay, let's put him on place. And boom, he switches gears right away. I mean, this is really good work for a handler and dog that are both brand new to dog training. And then we follow this up with one of my favorite moves for reactive dogs. Let's just walk together. Those of you that have reactive dogs, if you're on your training journey, if you're building skills in your dog, and you have a friend, a neighbor, someone else with a dog that is reasonably trained, as long as the dog can walk with its person and kind of keep to itself, stay in its lane, mind its business, go on a walk together. And everybody just do their thing. We're moving together. Think of it like two cars driving down a multi-lane road, and we're each in our lane. We're staying within the lines. That is such a game changer for reactive dogs, because most people walk their dogs at the end of the leash, and most people with social dogs think that it's their job to have their dog meet every other dog on a walk. And those of you that have reactive dogs, or maybe not big reactions, but maybe timid dogs, nervous dogs, that aren't so forwardly reactive, they're kind of reverse reactive. In other words, get me out of here. A lot of people with very social dogs will try and bring their dog up to your dog. You're probably nodding your head right now going, oh my God, yes. And I tell them, stay away. And what does everyone with a really social dog who's trying to do this say to you? It's okay, my dog is friendly. Yeah, but we all know that your nervous dog doesn't want anything coming into its bubble. So I want to change a reactive dog's perception. And what do? I take reactive dog A, and dog B doesn't necessarily need to be a reactive dog. The point is we're going to stay in our lanes and we're just going to walk. And so you're seeing a little snippet of that here. And I do this with my clients all the time. And then I encourage them, find someone with a dog and go and practice this together. The more you do this, the more you're giving your dog a different movie reel of what does it mean when I'm around another dog. Oh, they're not all like the jerk down the street that comes into my bubble. There are dogs that can. And then the dog says, wow, I'm allowed to feel a little different on a walk, right? We're trying to change an emotional response. The truth in dog training, when we're dealing with reactive dogs, is we have one of two options. We can simply control the dog's reaction, which if that's all we can do, it's still better than doing nothing. Good trainers can control a dog's reaction. In other words, don't do that. Let's put a limit on it. Really good trainers, and sometimes we're not always given the option. It depends on the dog in front of us, depends on the context. But really good trainers, given the right dog in the right context, can go far beyond just controlling the dog's reaction. We can start to elicit a different emotional response in the dog. So think about what that means. I'm a dentist, and I'm going to have to work on your mouth, and you have a violent reaction to dentistry. So we put you in 4-point restraints and you're in the chair and now you can't be violent. Okay, at least we can get the dentistry done and we can provide something to you that you need and the dentist doesn't have to worry about being harmed. And at the end of the day, we go our separate ways and life goes on. And that is survivable, let's say. But if I can have you sit in the dentist chair and I can tell you a joke, offer you a cup of coffee, maybe just have you sit in the dentist chair for the joke and the cup of coffee and say, that's it for today. And then you leave and you go, that was weird. I don't know what kind of dentistry that is, but wasn't unpleasant. And just bear with me. This analogy is just off the top of my head, okay? So it may sound silly, but we're just trying to elicit a different emotional response. And all I need to do is replace the exclamation point, the big kaboom that's going on in the dog's brain with a question mark bubble of, that was it? Okay. And then maybe the dog is a little more open to something. And then we do it again and again and again. And really what I want is the takeaway for the dog to be, it wasn't so bad. What was I thinking all these years? It's kind of ridiculous from my point of view. And that is how we change an emotional response in a dog, is we present an alternate theory to the dog. And it's not something we can do with all dogs. But when the opportunity is there, that is very powerful stuff. If you go watch any of my other videos, you'll see I really talk about self-discovery and self-motivation. Well, what is motivating this dog? It's the survival instinct. I'm scared of something. I perceive it as a threat. And so in order to survive, I need to take all these big actions. I need to run away. I need to hide. I need to bark. I need to lunge. I need to growl. I need to snap. I need to bite. I need to be proactive in order to survive. And then I say, okay, I get it. You want to survive. Well, you walk next to her and she'll walk next to me and we'll all just kind of do our own thing, but as a group together. And the dog says, wow, walks could work like that. And the self-discovery starts to kick in. And then for the dog like Kobe that is fearful yet social, he says, this is cool. I like this. So those of you that have reactive dogs and your training is starting to kick in, try to incorporate these group walks. And by group, it could just be one other dog where everyone stays in their lane. And then if the dogs show you after a while that they're starting to feel comfortable, you can fold that in to be something bigger. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Thanks for joining me on another one of these, and I'll see you in the next one.